Nearly 1 in 10 U.S. citizens claim some type of Irish heritage, with many living right here in Chicago. But few people born in the 90s here understand what the troubles were and why the Good Friday Agreement is so important. It's been 25 years since that agreement was reached. It was a major reason why President Joe Biden was in Ireland last week, and also a big reason why the ambassador of Ireland to the U.S. is in Chicago right now. Ambassador of Ireland to the United States, Geraldine Byrne Nason. Ambassador, thank you for joining us today.
Good morning. It's a real pleasure to be with you in Chicago.
The pleasure is all ours. You are speaking at DePaul University at 6 o'clock this evening about the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement. For people at home, could you describe the importance of the agreement for the historical lay person, and why leaders look to it even today as an example, as there's so many conflicts in the world right now. They look to it today, so long after, as an example of good peacemaking.
Absolutely. Well, we are now 25 years on from what was a period of deep and troubling times on the island of Ireland. We're small. In total across the island, 6 million people. But in Northern Ireland for over 30 years, we had a violent conflict raging on the island. And 25 years ago, on April 10th, with enormous support from the United States, we came to an agreement that has transformed, and I use that word advisedly, it has changed forever the history of the island that I'm so proud to represent here. Essentially, we lost over 3,500 civilians to death in the period of the Troubles, and about 50,000 people with serious injuries during that time. In the last 25 years, while it's not a perfect peace, and I'll come back to that point about the idea that the Good Friday Agreement is a model, but of course we know we can do more. We have had peace on the island, and we have had prosperity on the island. And we arrived at this 25th anniversary with what I regard as a big support from the United States during the negotiation of the peace agreement, being reflected by the visit of the President of the United States, a man who carries his Irish heritage with such pride, Joe Biden, who over his career was a constant friend of Ireland in the peace process. And that friendship from the United States goes right back and is bipartisan. President Carter was one of the first to raise the interest of the United States in peace in Ireland. President Reagan spoke about it when he came to Ireland in 1984. Of course, President Clinton, who's currently in Ireland, is speaking about that peace agreement, and importantly, the need now to anchor down the institutions, that basically the democratic arm of that agreement that keeps the process in place and that allows people in Northern Ireland to live the normal lives. I'm the mother of a 22-year-old son. His generation in Ireland have not known the Ireland I grew up in, where we had bombs exploding in Dublin as well as in Northern Ireland. And I will finish on the point that you raised importantly about why is it a model. I've just finished a number of years representing Ireland on the Security Council at the UN. There is no agreement that's as durable or sustainable over time as the peace agreement, the Good Friday Agreement in Northern Ireland. Peace is very hard to create. You have to have people who fundamentally disagree, enemies come to a table and learn to live together again. That's very rare internationally. And so we think we need to work every day to preserve it in Ireland.
Yeah, internationally, and 25-year peace as direct neighbors, Northern Ireland and Ireland. So it is remarkable. You were with President Biden during his time in Ireland as he met with leadership and toured his ancestral homeland. As you mentioned, Mr. Biden saying multiple times, our world stands at an inflection point while he was there. What was so different from this particular visit, from this particular U.S. president? Could you feel the weight of it while you were there?
Absolutely. It was a historic, and I would add a joyful moment for the people of Ireland, but I also think for President Biden himself. You know, Biden has no secret made of this. He has worn his Irish heritage with great pride, his heart on his sleeve almost, in terms of that Irish background. His family roots in County Louth, my own home county, on the East Coast, a border county, so an important area. You see him on the screen now touring a castle in that area of Ireland, which saw the troubles, frankly, during that difficult period on the island. He has family there. He has family on the West Coast. He, through his person, in a way, expresses the history of Ireland. His family forced to leave in the 19th century because of lack of opportunity, and very often indeed in the mid-19th century because they couldn't survive on the island. So seeing a son of Ireland come home, although as our Taoiseach said to him, Mr. President, you never left, it was truly important for us. But there was substance as well as emotion to the visit. The people of Ireland turned out in their droves to greet him. But behind the scenes, we did business. We discussed, importantly, the peace process. We discussed global issues like food security, which had a resonance for the president, remembering the famine in Ireland, but recognizing today Ireland and the US lead on several important global initiatives in food security. And then, very importantly, looking to see, can we work together, as the US has done over time on the peace process in Ireland, now to jumpstart where we're at. The institutions, the elected assembly, the parliament, if you like, in Northern Ireland isn't sitting. The executive that takes decisions as a governmental arm, really, of the Good Friday Agreement, not sitting. Brexit has had a huge impact on Northern Ireland, and we need to see now these institutions restored. And importantly, President Biden spoke to the economic future, prosperity for that generation of young people, which I always call my son's generation, that they will see economic opportunity. And to help us in that, President Biden has nominated Joe Kennedy as his special envoy, former Congressman Joe Kennedy, as the special economic envoy to Northern Ireland. So the president left a legacy for us from this visit of course, a huge groundswell of emotion. I've never seen people on the streets, on the motorway, on the flyovers, in the small corners of country roads, waving at the local boy made good, as it were, President Biden coming home. I've never seen that, and I think people will treasure the memory of this extraordinary visit for a very long time.
It was quite remarkable, and Kennedy's, of course, with a very close Chicago ties many times over. You just finished up as 5 years as Ireland's ambassador to the UN. You've got a resume as a diplomat that could choke a shredder. I mean, it's remarkable the things you've done. When you look at a worldview, are there any flashpoints you see right now that not only as Ireland relates to the world, but as the world relates to the world? How are you seeing things?
Well, look, I spent, as you said, 5 years at the UN. 2 of those were sitting at the UN Security Council, and that's where the buck stops, as it were, when it comes to international peace and security. I've often said it was like dealing with a hierarchy of human misery, but while I was on the council, the most shocking development ever in my career experience was the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, an illegally prosecuted war that threw the handbook of international norms, law and order, out the window.
What a treat. And the ambassador, when I asked why not wearing green, she noted that that very blue is the true color historically connected to St. Patrick. An international diplomat on the stream. It was our pleasure. Ambassador of Ireland to the U.S., Geraldine Byrne Nason. She'll be speaking at DePaul University. Tickets are free. You just have to register online. And if you're still looking for a taste of the Emerald Isle this weekend, Trinity Irish Dance Company is performing at the Auditorium Theater on Saturday. Tickets there are still available, and you can buy them on the Auditorium Theater's website.